Hello. So it's Jeremy from Around the Bend Adventures here. I'm in Around the Bend Adventures HQ. As I said before, it sounds way better than my basement. Um, and this is the first in kind of my preparation for my Colorado road trip here. Um, so the first thing I figured I was going to cover, because I'm just trying to organize it all and make sure if I need to order anything or whatnot, is kind of my power system. So while I do have in the power wagon, I do have the external bed power, so I can plug stuff in there. It still all runs off of the starting battery for the truck, and I'm always very leery of charging too much stuff off that because I just don't want to kill it, because that's a giant pain in the butt if I do that. Um, so I have my power system that I've kind of pieced together through a collection of parts and pieces from backpacking and assorted other trips, and some thoughts on it. So I'll go through the parts and pieces here, and we'll talk about each one and kind of what my thought process was, and if I've learned anything since I got that stuff. So the first piece that I bought for my truck travels and whatnot is this Jackery, what is it, the 240 Explorer 240. Not really thinking through the whole process or understanding the power draws or requirements for what I was going to be doing. So I got this over a year ago now, and I've used it on, I don't know, about 10 nights of travel. And it works really well if all you have to do is charge up a couple cell phones, maybe a headlamp, GoPro batteries, that kind of stuff for a couple nights. It doesn't have a huge depth of power, and I figured all that out during hunting season. Because I have a boot dryer that I wanted to run off of it. And thankfully, I did a test run here, and I could only get about 2 hours. Actually, it was 3 hours before I drained to about 50%. So I was super concerned with that, so I wasn't able to use my boot dryer. And that's actually a concern for this trip as well, since I'm going to be spending a long time skiing. So I'm going to have to work around that. I just haven't got the money yet to step up to a larger battery bank. Overall, I love the Jackery construction. I bought this on Amazon and was relatively inexpensive. So far, it's worked great. It's been great for temperatures and whatnot. It's just the size. I wish I'd gotten something bigger. And at this point, if you're looking at buying a battery, buy the biggest one you think. Think of what you're going to want to recharge. The Jackery webpage has some great stuff on that, and then probably double it, because it just turns out like. So on this trip, I'm actually in school. I'm gonna have to recharge my laptop, my phones, all my GoPro stuff, camera, that kind of thing. So I do have a lot. It's gonna be a lot for this little guy. So I'm gonna have to start like staging stuff. But that's the Jackery Explorer 240. Overall, I love it. Only thing I wish it did have is I wish it had a USB-C output, but it doesn't have that. Since I switched to iPhone, that's become a bigger deal. But I did add the Solar 60 charging panel for that Jackery before my last trip, because I did notice that if I stayed out for a couple days, it was starting to get down, and I had to idle the truck to charge it back up and charge all my stuff. And idling a V8 Hemi is a pretty inefficient way to charge a cell phone. So I picked up this solar panel, I've given it a go a couple times, and it seems to work pretty well. In the Northeast, so sun's not something we do a lot of here in the winter. But what I've been able to add 10 or 15% on a pretty cloudy day just by letting this sit out there. So I'm pretty happy with it. It's pretty well self-contained. It's got a nice long cable with all the plugs. Some USB stuff here, which is nice. Little kickstand built in. So I'm pretty happy with this. And I do know when I do upgrade to a larger battery bank, I'm going to stick with the Jackery. So the next thing is I have some smaller battery packs as well, or banks. This actually I got for a trip to the Arctic I was on. I needed something to be able to recharge some of my medical devices. So I picked this up. So this is the Goal Zero Venture 30 battery bank and the Nomad 7 solar panel. So it's pretty small, but it worked good for backpacking stuff. So I'm just kind of piecing this in with my current stuff. Goal Zero, again, very well made, whatnot. So I can put my big one in there. Then I have a smaller one. This is the Flip 12. So you can check it. It's got a USB that you just plug it in to charge it. This is what I tend to carry in my pack to back up my phone and whatnot. So I use my phone for like everything. So all of this will definitely be combined in here. I've been asked why I didn't go with the Goal Zero larger battery banks, and it was price. Looking at them wise, they're both lithium battery packs. The Goal Zero seems to cram a lot more technology in there. You can check it with your phone, and it has a lot of stuff. I don't particularly care about all of that. And the Jackeries are substantially cheaper, and they do what I want them to do. If you want the technology, definitely go with the Goal Zero. I do know Goal Zero has a very good warranty process, because after I got back from the Arctic trip, this battery refused to charge, and it would just run away. So if I plugged anything into it, it would just run until it was dead, and then I couldn't get it to charge. I called them and said, "Yep, no problem. Send it back." They warrantied it. I got a brand new one. So their warranty's great, if that matters to you. So that's the other thing I got for power in the Goal Zero line of stuff. And then the last stuff in again, because this is like a random assortment. I wish I could get it all streamlined, but this is just what I have. So I would rather spend $300 or $400 or $500 on a trip than having all kinds of really cool gear. Because I just want to travel. So I just got a travel pocket battery bank that'll give me a couple cell phone charges. That I think I bought this at an airport somewhere. And then a long time ago, when I think when I was one of the re-enlistments, I got this. So it's just another small battery bank, and I'll keep these charged as kind of backups. That'll normally live in my truck just in case. But the last thing, and probably the most important thing, is making sure you have cables to charge everything. This summer I was all set up to doing a 24-hour mountain bike race, and I'm packing all my stuff up, and I had to have cables to charge my headlamp, but I had two different headlamps, and I didn't check. Unbeknownst to me, they had two different cables. So having the best battery bank in the world doesn't do you any good if you don't have the cables. So now I just kind of carry a selection of cables. I have some USB to USB-C cables for my GoPro battery bank. I use a Garmin Fenix watch, so I have to have the charging cable for that. I got another USB to USB-C just in case I got to charge two things like that. USB to, like, I think it's micro USB. I use this to charge one of my really old GoPros, which is kind of my sacrificial one. So if you see like shots where the GoPro's sitting on the ground, it's like the Hero 5 or something like that. So if I run it over, I'm less sad. So I got that one to charge that. And this will also charge my backcountry access two-way radios. Got a regular micro USB for tablets and that kind of stuff. I then added in a nice long USB-C that plugs into a power brick and to FireWire. So this is a nice long cable, and this packs up nice and smooth. Last thing that I've forgotten multiple times is a couple wall outlets, because sometimes when you're out there, you got to plug. You actually have access to power, and having the ability to charge multiple things at once is super easy, super nice. And then the Jackery charging stuff. So this is the 12-volt plug-in for their cigarette lighter that plugs right into it, and the wall plug-in. All of that, minus the GoPro, I can cram into this little pouch that actually came with the Jackery. So I have all my cables in one spot, and I can keep it all nice and organized. So that's my power system. It's worked great-ish so far with these cold temperatures and having to run a boot dryer. My 240 Explorer is just a little undergunned, so I wish I'd definitely gotten the bigger one. I just don't have the money to buy the size I want, which is the 1000 or the 1500. I think would be ideal. I might actually just wait and bite the bullet and buy the 1500, because it looks like I'll be able to work remote more. So I definitely would love to have the ability to run my laptop for a good length of time and not stress about it. Or when hunting season comes around, be able to dry my boots out without resorting to old backpacking mountaineering methods. So that's my power system. It's relatively easy. I try to keep everything nice and small. It's not built into my truck. I looked at doing that, but one of the big issues is I like being able to take everything out so I don't have to drive around with it in there. Because my power wagon is my daily driver, so I use it to go mountain biking, go to work, and whatnot, and just live life. So having all that extra stuff in there is just like potential for something to go wrong. And second, and another one is I am terrible at wiring things. Like I electrocute myself anytime I try to do electrical work in this house. So having that in my truck just seems like a great risk to like catch it on fire or not have power when I need it. So I'll put the money in and buy those kind of made for products like the Jackery power generators or the Gold Zeros or whatever they are. And just so it'll work. I know it'll work. I can charge it, take it, and be good with it. And it's also nice because we lose power here a good amount of time. And I can use that for like, running lights and running our pellet stove and that kind of stuff. So those are some of that's my thought process behind it. I don't like having that built in because I can then take it out and it's not a permanent part of my truck. So yeah, that's what I got, guys. And hopefully that was informative, found it useful or interesting. Thanks, and we'll get the next one going.